saw a thread last week talking about how they wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that a lot of the cosmetics that we use are super toxic because women in the 1920s were eating radium infused paint simply because they wanted to glow and they were unknowingly poisoning themselves. But the Radium Girls story is much deeper than that. I read a book on it in high school and I was like, well, I'm making longer form content now. Let's talk about the Radium Girls. So I've been looking into the history surrounding these all-women factory workers who were hired to paint the dials on watches and other military equipment that was using this radium-infused paint that made the paint glow in the dark. These workers were instructed by factory management to use their mouth to moisten the tip of their paintbrushes in between every number that they painted. And their pay structure was set up so that they were paid based off of how many dial faces they could complete. So it did speed up the process. It made the paintbrush, the point, really fine, and they were able to complete this incredibly tedious work quickly. And a lot of them died super young and gruesome and terrible deaths. And the companies that employed these women knew, and they went so far as to offer safety precautions and PPE to their male employees who would work with radium, that these women were treated as disposable. Anyway, a bunch of women in a bunch of different factories across the states ended up suing in the 20s and the 30s. A lot of them won, and that's how we have OSHA. Stories like this are a good reminder why people say that the road to the safety precautions and the workers' rights, the standards that we have today, that they are paved in blood. Because in less than a decade, more than 50 women died incredibly gruesome deaths because they were viewed as disposable by a company that profited off of their exploitation. I don't like hearing people say that these Radium Girls were poisoning themselves as a result of stupidity or vanity. They were told that this practice was safe. They were intentionally poisoned, and the results that linked the radium ingestion to these terrible, terrible symptoms that they started showing, they were withheld from them. These studies were suppressed by these corporations for years. Their story is not one of human stupidity, but rather corporate greed. Those women were heroes, especially the women that sued and continued the lawsuits on their deathbeds, hoping that their actions would end the practice for other women across the country and in Canada. They were lied to and intentionally poisoned and became champions for workers' rights because of that. Details surrounding the lawsuit and the importance of the freedom of press and unowned press is just really fascinating. Full video will be on YouTube probably in the next couple of days, and it'll probably be like 30 minutes long.